Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 4th day of June, 2024, Tuesday of the 9th week of the year, the 9th week in Ordinary Time. And this is a later posting reflection because I had forgotten to do it because it is our final full day here at the Franciscan School. Though I am not here at the Franciscan School, I'm here at the Catholic Center because I had to stop at the office. And I remembered that I had not done this yet. But it's our last full day at the Franciscan School and it's reading day. And so we've been doing a lot of reading with all the classes. And I kind of just started first thing in the morning and I just kind of got lost in the track of time and everything else like that. So just getting around to doing this now before I have to head back to read some more. So our readings for today on this Tuesday of the 9th week of the year, the 9th week in Ordinary Time, the second letter of Peter. Again, we spent a whole week with the first letter of Peter, but the second letter of Peter, we only spend 2 days this week. And we hear the beginning of it and we hear the end of it. The beginning of it, again, that reminds us what it means to be a believer and how to live, hopefully, as a believer in the world. And the end of the letter of Peter, the second letter of Peter, that basically gives us the reason why we need to be mindful of how we are to live. Because again, Peter gets a little bit, second letter of Peter gets a little bit dark. It talks about the end of time and the coming of the Lord being the fulfillment, again, of God's desire and God's design for the world. And so this coming of the world, that for Peter, when he writes the second letter, is one that's going to be a little bit dire. And again, filled with fire and flame and all kinds of things like that. And things being consumed left and right. And it's kind of very apocalyptic. And Hollywood loves, again, to use these kinds of understandings of the end of the world in making their blockbuster movies. But the thing about it is that whether that happens or not, believers are not supposed to be out of their wits and out of their minds and running around like crazy, like everybody else is. We are supposed to receive it, always, because we know that it is the fulfillment. Although it seems like a destructive end, and it seems to others like it's a destructive end, it is just the birth of something new. And again, the second letter of Peter invites those who dare to believe to trust in a God who constantly cares. And even though there are endings, with God there are always beginnings. And again, the way we move as believers from death to life, always from death to life. The Paschal Mystery is all about Christ moving from death to life. So too this world, as it moves towards its death, it's only supposed to move now then from that into a new and an abundant life. And for us, basically to welcome that with courage, with persistence, with perseverance, and never to lose sight, again, of who we are as believers in the midst of things that may seem dire and terrible and horrific, to others. We hold our heads high, and we basically move forward, knowing that there is a God who walks with us, who journeys with us, who will always deliver us. In the gospel today, again in Mark's gospel, we're looking at one of the passages again where Jesus has these great confrontations with the scribes and the Pharisees, and again trying to trick him and trying to entrap him. They basically go and put him to a test. This is a financial test about to whom should they pay taxes, and should they pay taxes, because they technically are not Romans, and they are not necessarily citizens of Rome per se. Should they pay taxes? For Jesus to say no would be treasonous, to Roman authorities, and would get him into trouble. For Jesus to say yes would put him against, all of the Jews. And so basically Jesus, in his brilliance and in his intelligence, again, this is where Mark's gospel is wonderful for showing us a Jesus who can really handle himself in any kind of situation, which is, again, raises the question, when a host falls on the ground, again, the world does not end. Jesus is not falling, he is not broken, he is not bruised or anything else like that. He is risen and alive, and a host happened to fall on the ground. Pick it up, be reverent with it, yes, all those other kinds of things, but don't go crazy. But we tend to do so because we have to protect Jesus. We always think we have to protect Jesus. Jesus can protect himself and shows himself quite able to do that in this gospel passage. Given that coin, he basically says, whose image is on this? They say Caesar's. And basically Jesus has that great quote, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. Again, and Jesus basically even begins it by saying, why are you trying to trick me? You're not listening to anything I have to say. All you are is angry and furious that I'm daring to contradict everything that you stand for and everything that you believe for, because it is not good, it is not healthy, and in some respects it is very wrong. Again, this is a God who can handle himself, I guess, who asks us to be able to handle ourselves in very direct and in very simple ways, to know what it is that we are about and not to get lost in distraction, in all the distractions and all the pushing and the pulling that sometimes our society, our culture, or even our church would like us to do. We need to be focused upon giving to God what is God's and leaving the rest to take care of itself. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.